Hello and welcome to today's live coaching call and community conversation here on YouTube and Facebook. Today we're going to be talking about how to lose weight in perimenopause, menopause, and if you are in the season of post-menopause. So my name is Diane Parham. I am the creator of the online course and community, the Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman. And I really like to talk about intermittent fasting, weight loss, and everything that we're going through with menopause through the mindset approach. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, but I have 3 tips for you on how it is you can get your body to lose weight while you're in menopause or post-menopause or even perimenopause, and some tips that you can start implementing today. Right. And we talk about this a lot here in this community, and I feel like this year, I'm just going to keep bringing this information to you in different approaches until it really clicks for you in your mindset so that you can simplify this for yourself and actually feel good in the skin that you're in, right? And our motto here is we empower women to look and feel their best and live their most authentic life. And it's really important for us to make sure we are understanding that last part, the authentic part, right? Okay. And I saw in the comments before I got started that Erica left a comment about Lumen. We'll address that toward the end. If you have any questions, please make sure that you are putting them in the comment section in the chat as I'm going along, and I will answer them at the end. If you're catching this on the rebroadcast, always know that you can leave comments in the comment section. I'll come back as well. And then, I always appreciate it if you guys are subscribed to the channel here. That way you get notified when we go live or I post something. And then I always appreciate if you like the content, hit that little like button and make sure you're sharing it with your community of girlfriends as well. Okay, so let's get started. I said there's 3 things that we need to really understand when we're trying to lose weight in a hormonal season, right? So anything that has to do with menopause, there was really like 3 seasons, right? There's the perimenopausal season, which can be 7 to 10 years before you start transitioning into menopause. Menopause is defined as 1 full year, so 12 months of going through a season of not having your menstrual cycle. And that's really what menopause is. And then we have post-menopause, and that's where we live the remainder of our life. And we hope that post-menopausal season is a long and amazing season for us, right? And in order for it to be amazing and even long, we have to really start thinking about how it is we're caring for ourselves as we're going through this aging process. And one of those areas that I really like to encourage women to spend time on is that authentic part and making sure that you're making decisions that allow you to look and feel your best, because a big part of our life is postmenopausal. And if we're constantly feeling frustrated and we're constantly beating ourselves up over weight or body image or how it is we see ourselves, then we're really wasting an amazing season of life. So let's start working on this part so we can really figure out how to take care of ourselves physically as well. So the 3 tips, and I have a bonus tip. The first tip on how to lose weight in a hormonal transition season is balancing out your hormones, right? And we talk about this here all the time in the fact that the hormones that we need to balance out primarily are our storage hormones, our leptin and our insulin, also known as our hunger hormones. So we have our leptin, we have our insulin, we have our ghrelin, and we have our neuropeptides. When you get all 4 of those hormones under control and you feel empowered in that state of hungry, then we get to that fasting window, right? And we know that that's the best place to get these hormones balanced out, because we are not going to do anything to create a hormonal response. So we're going to just pause everything for a good part of our day and let these hormones balance themselves out. Once they are balanced out and we are in control of them, I always say hunger hormones that are out of balance are untrained hormones, right? They're throwing temper tantrums at us all day. And if we're not thinking about them being out of control and these temper tantrums that they're throwing at us, then we cave to them. Think about little toddlers running around, right? You've seen them in stores when there's no boundaries set and they get whatever they want if they throw a temper tantrum. That's how our hunger hormones are, because for a lot of us, we've leaned into the temper tantrum, right? So we've created this uncontrolled like sort of response in our body, and we just do it without thinking, right? We get a hunger pain, we feed it, we feel like we need some energy, we eat, we feel like we have a headache, we eat, we're bored, we eat. Everything is satisfied with an eat. And if we can really get good in understanding how that long controlled fasting window will help balance out these hunger hormones, that's the first step to losing weight in a season of hormonal transition. Getting that fasting window down and finding that comfort in your fast will help you control and maintain how these hunger hormones are responding and how you react to them. The second thing that we need to understand in losing weight through a hormonal transition season is we have to understand our caloric needs, also known as nutrition, right? So, however it is you want to use the vocabulary to describe that, this is what we call feasting well here in this community, right? It's the second component to the trifecta to aging successfully. Fasting long would be the first component. We have to understand what our caloric needs are as our life is changing. So I know for myself in my 20s, I was super busy. I was a group fitness instructor. I was in the military for part of my 20s. I was always busy, always on the move. My 30s, I was finishing up college. I was starting my family. I was super busy. I was always on the move. My 40s, I had my second child. I was busy. I was always on the move. And then my 50s, my life became very sedentary, right? Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not working out or I've become a couch potato. It just means that I'm sedentary compared to the way I used to live my life. I am not 100% the person who's making sure that other people are getting, their life started or their day started. My kids are, one's moved out, one's super independent. My husband does his own thing. I just have to worry about me. And so my life has become very sedentary compared to how I was in my younger years. We have to come to grips with that and be really honest about that, right? And know that if we're taking in more than our body can utilize, then our body stores. And when we have our hunger hormones, the storage hormones that are out of balance, it becomes an even bigger issue for us, right? So we have to understand what our caloric needs are, like our true and honest caloric needs are. And we have to make sure we're very honest about our nutritional choices, right? And if we're putting more into our body than our body can utilize, then we become a very efficient storing machine. And that's where a lot of us put on hormonal weight. And we put on hormonal weight because our hormones are out of balance, right? So in order to lose weight, we do have to create a little bit of a deficit or an opportunity for our bodies to pull out of what we have in storage and utilize that for energy. If we're not consistently pulling things out of storage, we're going to gain weight, right? It's just going to stay on our body. In order to lose something, you have to utilize it, or reduce something, you have to use it up. Same concept goes with our body. Same concept goes with this hormonal weight that a lot of us are holding on to. The problem is we have these triggers in our brain when we hear words like deficit or restrict or cut down or pull back, right? We have these triggers from past experiences, and we want to make sure that we are being very honest with ourselves about some of those triggers. There's absolutely nothing wrong with creating a deficit so that you can tap into what you have in storage to allow your body the opportunity to lose weight. It's all about how we manage our thoughts around what it is we're going to be doing to create the change that we say that we really want. And then the third thing goes in line with the fasting long, the feasting well, and that's learning how to drain your tanks. I call this training smart, right? So we have to make sure, again, that we're tapping into what our body has become very accustomed to storing because we've been out of balance or we've had a hormonal shift that's often accompanied by a lifestyle change, meaning that we have become less active and more sedentary, not because you're lazy, not because anything is bad is happening, just because your life has changed and your physical needs have probably changed. I know for me, I used to like run and walk my kids to school, and my son would ride his bike and I would run alongside him and on the way home, and I was constantly playing with him at the park, and I was, running and working out on my own, and I was just constantly busy. My life now, most of my time is sitting in this chair, talking to this screen on consult calls with women or teaching courses or doing these live coaching calls with y'all. I'm not as busy, and I have to make sure that I'm being honest with myself about that, so that when it comes to my caloric needs, I have the right mindset. I just don't need as much as I used to because I'm not demanding as much from my body. And then when I train, I have to make sure that I'm training so that my body is able to go into what's in storage and pull that out and utilize that so I can create the loss that I say that I want to have. I just went through a season of experimenting with some things with nutrition, and I put myself in a caloric plus, right? I wasn't creating a caloric minus, and I could just feel my body holding on to all that extra food that I was consuming running a test, right? So once you make that connection with how you look and feel, then we can go into that bonus area of how to lose weight in perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopausally. Is we have to make the mindset shift, right? Are we going in with the right emotional makeup and mental makeup, or a healthy emotional and mental makeup, so that we can make informed choices? Here's the thing about weight that I also think that we need to come to grips with, especially in this season of life, right? Is the emotional and mental part. How much disappointment or failure or shame are you bringing into this season of life because of things that have happened before that maybe didn't work for you? And can you just shake that off and let that go so that you can create a clean script, right? A clean sheet of paper, and start this season with a new framework mentally and emotionally of how you're going to approach this, so that you can be honest about the fact that your hormones are out of balance and which hormones we need to work on. Can you be honest about the food choices that you're making? And are you making a lot of assumptions about your nutrition, or are you making a lot of exceptions about your nutrition because you don't want to accept the fact of where you are in the season of life you're in? It's a hard thing to come to grips to, but once you come to grips with the fact that maybe you just don't have as much demand on your body anymore, even if you are working out, and if you can make those adjustments, then the weight will come off, and then you can live your life waking up every day looking and feeling your best and doing that in your most authentic way. And then the draining the tanks part is another one of those things. We have to reframe how we're working out so we can stay in the game physically and we're not breaking down our body. So I hope this makes sense. You guys, it doesn't have to be any more complicated than this. It doesn't have to be any more difficult than this. Are you fasting long enough to reset your hunger hormones? Once you reset your hunger hormones and you're not panicking in a fasted state and you feel empowered in a fasting state, these two areas become so much easier to manage, because the fast is going to lead the way to the nutritional choices that you make. Because if you don't feast well, this fast is not going to feel good for you. And if you don't feast well, you're not going to be able to feel empowered when you're in that training session, whatever it is you're doing, right? So we have to make sure that we're honest about these decisions for sure. Okay, so let me see if we have any questions or comments. And I said I would answer Erica's question as well, so I'll get to that one. Okay, so let's see. Karen, how do we know our caloric needs so that we don't eat too much? Well, for a lot of us, I would say the first thing you want to do is get this down first, right? So when you have your hunger hormones balanced out, again, it's ghrelin, leptin, insulin, and neuropeptides, right? The ghrelin is that growling you hear in your stomach when your stomach is empty. So we have little tricks that I teach in my intermittent fasting course to satisfy your ghrelin hormone. We just trick it. And then your neuropeptides are the hunger hormone signals that go to your brain when you're lacking nutrients. So if you're feasting well and you're getting all the nutrients that you need, Once your hunger hormones are balanced out, you can visually see food and be turned off by it if your body is satisfied. So that's one way that you can figure out your caloric needs is intuitive type of eating, right? And then we have to factor in common sense nutritional choices. So if you're going to him and haw over whether you should have, that glass of wine or the second glass of wine, or whether you should have the, cookies at the birthday party or have the extra little things, then we have to go back to common sense again. And what is it you really want? Do you want to lose the weight? Anytime I have been in a season of life where I have carried more weight than I'm comfortable with, it's always because I've made too many exceptions about emotional eating and not common sense eating, right? And we all have done that before. So I always say, if you're feeling like you want to get just down to basics, cut out all the extras, eat a nutritionally balanced feasting window. We all know what that is, right? Lots of vegetables, lots of lean proteins, lots of healthy fats. That's common sense. Everything outside of the common sense is going to determine how you lose weight and how that weight is going to stay on or off your body for sure. And that's the best advice I can give about caloric needs, unless you're the type of person who likes to manage macros, maybe count calories, whatever works for you. If that works for you and it serves you well and it doesn't send you into an emotional roller coaster of food decision, then I say then start there. I use the Lumen. I talk about the Lumen here a lot. That's a device that's really great because it gives you the basics of where to set up. If you go to lumen.com, you can look at some of the programs that they have. If you use my discount code DYANN, you can get a discount on that. So if you don't know where to start at all, I would say get into a program that's going to help you figure that out for you as well. Good day. Do you recommend HIIT or slow, steady state cardio during your fasting? I recommend a little bit of both. I would say if you're really trying to train smart and drain the tanks, right? So you want to make sure that what you have in storage has the opportunity to be pulled out of storage and then utilized during your training session. That's when I say steady state cardio is the best. I like to teach zone 2, very low zone 3 training for a longer period of time. So I do that primarily. It works wonders. And then what I do is I pick one day a week that I call my race day. I don't manage my heart rate. I just go and execute what I would execute if I was on a race, right? And so I just prove that all my training is kind of pulling together and I can execute what I want to execute. So both work. A lot of it has to do with your body type as well and what you enjoy doing. So if you enjoy HIIT style training, and remember HIIT training is just a heart rate zone, it's not a particular activity. If you enjoy that and you're seeing results from that, then I say HIIT training's for you. For me, I have always done best with slow, steady endurance type cardio training with some strength training built in to make sure that I, stay in the game for sure. So a lot of it does have to do with you and what you like to do as well. And are you seeing results from that? I know a lot of people who just do HIIT style training and they're seeing great results. And I know people who only do steady state cardio and they're fasted and they do well as well. So you got to play with that a little bit. Hey, Sandy, good to have you here as well. Okay, Erica, you do remember. Okay. So my friends who are doing intermittent fasting and they're using the Lumen. So I've been doing IF consistently for 8 months. I cook all my own food and I don't eat flour products, rice, potatoes, don't drink. I obviously have to pull in a little tighter. So Erica asked about, she's been using the Lumen and she's wondering why she's waking up utilizing carbohydrates even after fasting for 16 hours. Okay. So remember what we talk about with fasting long, right? And just the draining the tanks concept as well. You don't know where you were metabolically before you started using the Lumen. So you start using the Lumen and it's telling you you're utilizing carbohydrates. I never say that that's a negative thing, right? You have to also take 2 full weeks to breathe into the Lumen for your Lumen to register to your body and your body's metabolic makeup. So I say, don't have any opinions or feelings about anything until you get your first flex score. Then we'll see where we're headed here. The other thing about using a device to tell you what's going on in your body and then having a feeling about that in the very beginning is you don't know where you started from, right? So you don't know how your body's metabolic makeup and how you were utilizing energy was the day before you started the Lumen. So you might have been using carbohydrates this whole time, despite the fact the fact that you're fasting for 16 hours. If you are in menopause and you're having a hard time losing weight and a hard time losing body fat, it's because you're out of balance and your body is in storage mode. You cannot get to fat utilization until you don't have that backup of sugar, carbohydrates, all that glucose in your system, all that stored glycogen in your liver and your muscles. You can't get to fat utilization until you've drained the tanks, right? Efficiently every day. So that 24-hour cycle, that's what the Lumen is testing, right? You eat, you go to sleep. What does your body do in conversion or utilization or storage in that 24-hour period? So 16 hours, Erica, may not be enough time for your body to utilize your caloric intake because you have so much still in storage, right? So just because you're fasting 16 hours doesn't mean that you particularly are draining the tanks efficiently enough to tap into fat utilization. You might have an excess of storage in glycogen in your body, and your body's not going to get to fat burning or fat utilization until you get through that intermittently. So every 24 hours. This is why I say start with the fast long. I would recommend 20 hours of fasting. I know that goes against what a lot of the Lumen people say, but for us here in our community, it is the game changer. So I would up your fasting window, fast longer, so you can balance these out, so you can tap into where this leptin and your insulin are putting things away in storage, drain those storage tanks, right? Support what you want out of your fast by your feasting decisions, and then add in some movement in your body. So you're going to force out of storage along with your fast the opportunity to utilize what's keeping you in carbohydrate utilization mode. That's the best advice I can give you for that one. Okay, so thanks. I've done alternate day fasting as well, but didn't have the guidance you've just offered. Yes, for sure. It is about draining the tanks intermittently. And Erica, I would highly recommend, if you haven't taken my class yet, jumping into the Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course that starts on March 5th. I teach you how to do these, and that we talk about this a little bit, but I teach you how to do these primarily with confidence, right? Because once you do these with confidence, you understand the hormonal aspect of this game changer right here, then everything else just becomes so easy. Even for myself, like I said, I just did a 2-week experiment with upping my caloric intake, and I feel it. I feel thick. I feel heavy. I feel weighed down. I just haven't been able to get into that energized sense of calm and that utilization so that I can get into my fat stores, right? And I've been intermittent fasting for 6 years, and I still have to make sure that I drain the tanks intermittently. And if I start building up that backup, I get into those areas again where I'm like, why am I not feeling that energy and that lightness and that enthusiasm I have, right? And that comes from being in a window where you're fasting long enough to drain the tanks. You're making sure that you are creating a deficit that is going to be dependent on the lifestyle demands that you have, and then draining the tanks, right? And it works for everyone. It doesn't matter how seasoned you are. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It's what are you doing right now to create that drain the tank effect so you can utilize everything you have from your carbohydrates and then get yourself into that fat utilization. When I say carbohydrates, I don't just mean food. I mean, what happens to your food when you take it in, and is it being packed away in glycogen stores that have to be pulled out and used for glucose? So hopefully that helps as well. Vidya, great job. I'm going through menopause, and I'm doing IF for 15 months and loving it. I do 16-8, and it varies from 16 to 8 hours, sometimes 20. It feels so good when I do 20, but am I but it is difficult. Okay, it's difficult probably because you're not understanding the power of the 20-hour fast, right? And when you fast 16 hours, you fast 18 hours, and you try to jump into 20, that 2-hour difference is like the pain point a lot of people feel. And once you get past that, then you're home free. Even myself, like right now, I'm going through that drain the tanks experience myself. And I'm sitting here going like, when can I break my fast? And I know and understand all the aspects and the magic that this lifestyle creates, but I still get those little pain points every now and then. I got to go, nope, you just got to get to that 20 hours today. And by tomorrow, you're going to be feeling great. Right. And so we have to make sure that we understand the power of draining the tanks. And once you get these balanced out, then you're not getting those signals that you have to eat all the time. You're going to get the signal like, I have stuff in storage I'm able to use. Then you, again, support that with the feast, and then you pull a little extra out with the draining of the tanks. Tara, sorry, new here. What does drain the tank mean? 20-hour fast. Drain the tank means that you're using up everything that you have stored away so that you can tap into fat utilization. And so you want to drain your glycogen stores. And I know some people like freak out again when you hear that thing like, oh, I can't drain my glycogen stores, I'm not gonna have any energy. We always have a reserve of glycogen, right? So you're gonna drain them for today so that your body can tap into the fat you have in storage. And then you feast, you put back into use new glycogen stores, right? Because you just ate, and that's what happens when we eat. Then you sleep. That the carb intake that you just took converts to fat utilization in the morning. Like that's the dream that we want to live, right? And then you're in fat burning mode until you eat again. So that's how you lose weight in menopause, is you have to tap into the fat that's available that you want to get rid of, and fat equals weight. That's just how it works, right? And the draining of the tanks means that you're draining what's currently available for energy so that you can tap in to what you have in storage. So hopefully that helps with that one. Tara, Sandy, every day is not the same for me, but I listen to my body and let the magic happen in the hungry. Yeah, for sure. See, and that's the thing. That's the message that so many of us need to hear, is that there's power in a state of empty, and there's power in a state of hungry if you're doing it correctly. And that's the fast, long, feast well, train smart, right? But we panic in a state of hungry, and we think that our body's going to eat away at itself. And the only thing your body's going to eat away at is what's available. And if you have fat available, your body will find that fat and it will eat away at it, and it will utilize that as a source of energy. The same thing holds true with what we're storing away in glycogen that becomes available as energy in the form of glucose in our system. And when we can tap in and utilize that efficiently, then hungry is where magic happens. Because when you're hungry, your body knows how to feed off of itself. And it's the self-feeding part of intermittent fasting that really is powerful for us, especially as aging women, because we have so many things that pop up that we're not happy with. And a fasted state is when your body is feasting off of itself and it gets rid of all those things that we're not happy with. What about IF and strength training? Yeah, strength training is great for intermittent fasting. It just depends on, what aspect of strength training are you trying to do? Are you wanting to be a power lifter and pack on a bunch of muscle? Then of course you have to develop a plan that's going to support what the ask is of your body. I do strength training 5 to 6 days a week. I do it for about 30 minutes. And all I'm wanting from my strength training is a strong and balanced body so that I could show up efficiently and effectively in my life, right? So I want to keep my mobility and flexibility. So I lift weights, but I'm not doing it in a way that I'm trying to pack on muscle. I want a lot of lean looking muscle on my body. I want to be strong, and I want to have a body that's going to be able to show up for my life. So it all depends on what you're looking for in your strength training and what you want the outcome of that to be. If you're wanting to pack on muscle, you might need to take in more calories, and then make sure that you're working out in such a way that it's going to actually be converted to the muscle that you want to have. So hopefully that helps. Oftentimes, I did a strength training program when I was 45, I think it was, put on all kinds of muscle. But before the muscle showed up, I had to take on a lot of body fat. I had to take on a lot of extra calories. And then at the end of that, I dwindled down and really got myself lean and cut. So again, it's all a thing of what it is you want to have on the end. And then you have to put the plan together to make sure that's going to happen for you. Let's see. Joyce, if I'm planning to do something between 18 and 20 hours is a good distraction. And oftentimes it allows me to go even longer as the hunger pangs disappear. Yeah, for sure. And like I said, there's tricks we can do for the ghrelin aspect of things, which is where the hunger pangs come from, right? Carbonated water. We know coffee works well. Keeping yourself busy. Oftentimes it's just the thought of we haven't eaten that kind of makes us feel a little panicky. But hungry is not a bad thing as long as you have the opportunity to feast well. And this is where intermittent fasting is so powerful for us women, is that we can create the fasting environment or the fasted state. The fasted state is where this happens. Just skipping meals is not, or just fasting is not where the magic happens. Creating a fasted state environment by balancing out our hormones is where the magic happens, right? And so when we get comfortable in that state and we let our body do what it's been designed to do, and that's eat away at itself, the bad stuff, right? The stuff we're not happy with, then we start to create the change that we want to have for sure. Let's see. I saw Pam up here. Pam, in second week of the February class, great information. Thank you. You are welcome, girlfriend. Pam's doing really well. She's in our February 2022 intermittent fasting for today's aging woman course, and she's crushing it. Let's see, Shobha, I think it is Shobha. Can you please talk about menopause symptoms and weight loss after having a hysterectomy at the age of 40? I don't have any personal experience with that. I have not had a hysterectomy, but I do know, depending on what level of hysterectomy you've had. I know for some people, not everything is taken out of the woman's body. So partial hysterectomies, I know, are a big thing for a lot of women. So it just depends on, were you forced into menopause through your hysterectomy? And then anytime anything is removed from our body is in a state of shock. So you have to give yourself some grace as well, coming out of a hysterectomy. You're not going to just bounce right back into, being able to lose weight and balance things out. You have to let your body heal. You have to let your body get used to the fact that things are gone, that, were once there. So it takes some grace period for sure. I would say make sure you're just loving your body, that you're giving it the time to heal. The weight will come off when everything balances out. And then if you develop this kind of lifestyle for yourself, the trifecta to aging successfully, right? Are you fasting long enough to allow your body the opportunity to heal from the inside out? Are you supporting a healthy lifestyle through making good feasting choices? Nutrition does matter. And remember, I always say here as well, like, what we eat, right? What we expose ourselves to, what goes on our body, those are all feasts, right? So what we put in, on, and around our body are going to affect how our body looks and feels. So there are a lot of things in our environment that are throwing our hormones off. So you have to look at skincare, lotions, supplements you're taking, some of your vitamins. What are the ingredients in the food that you are consuming? And are those contributors to the fact that you're not losing weight despite the fact that you feel like you're doing everything correctly? Candles were a big thing for me. Skincare items with ingredients in there that were throwing my hormones off were a big deal for me, causing me to retain water, all kinds of things. So we have to look at the big picture as well. It's not just what are you depriving yourself from in food, or what are you doing in your nutrition window as far as food choices. Everything affects us hormonally. And so we have to make sure we're looking at the big picture of that as well. Here's what I can tell you guys though. 6 years of this, like I just said, I just went through a season of testing some things out nutritionally, and it didn't work out well for me. So now I'm in the season of I'm just going to go back to what I know works, which is what I teach you guys here, right? I always love experimenting. I don't have any mental or emotional baggage that I take with me when I go into an experiment. I experiment with things so I can help you guys out. And so now I'm just going to go back and do this. I'm just going to go back and do what I know how to do. I've been doing this for 6 years. Within a week, I'm going to be right back where I need to be, because I can fast long, feast well, and train smart, drain my tanks every single day. And within a week, I'm going to be back where I need to be. So we have to also make sure we're working on this mindset aspect of things as well, right? How are we thinking and feeling when we're making choices? And we have to get rid of this self-sabotaging way that we go go about things, because that's just holding us in this, what I call torture chamber, and you're going to feel really frustrated. It's about getting our hormones back in check, the hormones that are holding us in a state of weight gain and fat storage. When we get this taken care of, this part becomes so much easier, because you're going to find the win in one of the things that's the easiest thing to do, and that's do nothing for a majority of your day. You don't have to think, you don't have to make decisions about anything, you don't have to wonder if something's going to work or not work. Just take a big season of your day, a big part of your day, 20 hours, and just do nothing. Drink some black coffee, have some water, and go about your merry way. It is the easiest thing that we can do, for sure. Okay, anybody else have any questions before we head out of here for today? If you are a woman in any season of the menopausal journey, it does start. The perimenopausal season starts about 7 to 10 years before we go into that year waiting period of menopause, right? And then we live the remainder of our year, which is pretty much half of our life in post-menopause. How do you want to live this next season of your life? I want to live it waking up every day, looking and feeling my best, and doing that in my most authentic way. And I don't want weight loss or the struggle of weight loss to always be the thing that's on the forefront of my mind, right? So I fast long every day. I make really conscious food choices every day. And then I've learned how to train smart, so I can drain my tank, so I can go back up here and feel amazing when I wake up in the morning. And that's as simple as it is. If you're looking for some personal guidance on how to get started with this, the Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course is the place to start. You will get this dialed in within 3 weeks. Within 7 days, you will be fasting long and fasting with confidence. And for most women in the course, by the 7th day, they are already seeing and feeling results of everything that's taught in class. So make sure that you are paying attention to what it is you say you want, and then get yourself in an environment where you can actually make that happen for you. Renee, thanks for the zone training info. Amazing. Yeah, girlfriend, for sure. If you're looking for how to figure out what your zones are, I did a live coaching call last Tuesday. It's over on my Instagram channel. Just go to Instagram and you can look for Today's Aging Woman, or I think you could type my name in and you can find me on Instagram as well. There's a whole video in there on how to figure out your heart rate zones and why zone training is so important. It is it's very pivotal for us, especially if we're wanting to get into this weight loss mode, for sure. Dawn, great chat, Diane. Thank you. You're welcome, girlfriend. Okay, so if you haven't done so yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. Please share this with your friends. The more we get this information out, the more we can help our friends, right? Because we are a community of women, and there's so many women who are frustrated and literally suffering their way through menopause. And I can tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. It could be so much easier and so much fun, right? And so much better for us if we just understand how our body works and make sure we understand what it actually takes to lose the weight. Fast long, feast well, train smart. Okay, I'll see you guys back here on Thursday. If you have anything that you want me to discuss here in our community, always feel free to reach out to me. I'm open to all kinds of ways that we can get information out and help you find answers for what it is you have questions about. So always feel free to email me if you have a subject that you want me to cover in one of our live chats. It would be an honor to support you in anything that you guys need. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on Thursday.